Welcome to Food Friends, a podcast inspiring home cooks to try new dishes in the kitchen by sharing trusted recipes, tips, and friendship. Hi, I'm Sonia.
And I'm Carrie. We met in Los Angeles over 15 years ago as personal chefs and haven't stopped talking about food since. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for being our food friend.
If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with friends. We love hearing from you, so follow us on Instagram or drop us a line at foodfriendspodcast.com.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you and your food friends. Happy cooking and eating. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Carrie.
Sonia, what was your best bite this week?
I have been so excited all week to tell you about two things. Okay, I have to tell you two things. One thing is something that went viral on the internet, TikTok, social media. Have you heard about the Japanese yogurt cheesecake trend?
No, because as you know, I'm not really in these spaces. You're always bringing these viral food moments for me to understand.
Probably that speaks to your great mental health that you are not immersed in viral social media trends. I commend you, actually.
Yeah, but I'm missing out. There's a movement happening. So tell me.
This is why we're a good partnership.
Totally.
So first of all, I think it's a little bit of a lie. It's a little bit
oh
of
my
of
gosh, really throw it down here.
I really like this trend, the actual resulting dish, but I don't think it's fair to tell everyone that it just tastes like cheesecakes. Basically, all people are doing is they're taking a tub of Greek yogurt, has to be Greek yogurt. I think ideally it has to be a full fat Greek yogurt, not non-fat. And they're sticking either Biscoff cookies or graham cracker cookies straight into the container. You have to remove some yogurt to make space and let it sit overnight. So that the next day, like really what it should be called is our take on icebox cake, but with yogurt instead of whipped cream, because that's all this is.
Are getting soft. And
they're getting soft in the yogurt overnight. Every influencer on every platform is taking a bite of it and completely exaggerating the whole situation and saying, oh my God, it tastes just like cheesecake. I'm here to tell you, it does not taste just like cheesecake. But is it delicious and super fun? Absolutely.
Wait, so you've made this?
I've made it not once, but twice.
Oh my gosh. Wait,
just this week.
Does Jonathan like it?
Jonathan was out of town, so I actually made it for a friend of
mine.
I
was going to say you made it twice for yourself and you didn't share.
No.
Okay, you shared.
No, I
shared.
Okay. I shared. The first time I made it for me and a friend because we were having brunch together, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be perfect, like some kind of fun, trendy parfait." A couple notes: if you're going to make this at home. The recipes online will say 2 ingredients, yogurt and Biscoff or yogurt and graham crackers. And some people say add sweetener and some people say don't. I would say if you're looking for cheesecake, you 100% need to add sweetener. It will not be sweet enough.
Otherwise, it's
plain...
too tangy and almost like
yes.
Greek yogurt. Even if you're using the full fat version of Greek yogurt, it has like a dryness to it.
Yes. And even if you're using vanilla, it's still not going to be cheesecake.
Yeah.
So you could do totally plain and it will still be delightful. What I did is I made 2 different versions. I used graham crackers, not Biscoff, because I like graham crackers better. So I added sliced banana to one to make it kind of in the banana pudding family. And then I added frozen strawberries to the other because I had some good frozen strawberries. And that was for more like strawberry shortcake. And then you could sprinkle it with a little sugar, coconut sugar, or maple syrup. I actually didn't even do that. And it was really, really delightful. We both loved it. Is it my best bite of all time? No. But is it a fun way to make a kind of special treat that's not that rich and not that sugary? Yes, it is.
This kind of reminds me of is what my mom used to do. I have shared this before. We would always have a dinner with this kind of everyday dessert. She would usually do Jell-O or a little bit of instant pudding. And she would slice bananas with a little bit of vanilla pudding that she had made. That was also in the 80s when you were supposed to be drinking so much milk. My mom really followed that trend as well. But it was nice to have something that was slightly sweet and creamy at the end of a meal, or what you're describing too, which is like a brunch parfait, which this would actually just perk up an everyday breakfast.
Yeah, and I really recommend adding fruit. All right, so that was one thing I had to tell you about. But I want to tell you about a real best bite, like a truly sensational bite of food that actually happened over the holidays and I recreated because I had to, because I was so blown away by this. My friend friend Ethan Chesson, who I consulted with on our cookie box episode because he is legendary for his cookie boxes and he makes an entire spreadsheet. It's just amazing
Ethan
what
is
this man
is your Malin. Ethan to you is Malin to me.
Yes, in terms of cookie
Yes,
boxes,
cookie box,
100%.
like a cookie box
He's
king.
also someone I forage for fruit
Oh,
with,
wow.
and we trade quinces and persimmons. And so he's one of my favorite people
How
he's one of my
wonderful.
favorite food friends. For his cookie box this year, he included this Rice Krispie treat thing. And I'm not a huge Rice Krispie treat person. I usually find them a little too sweet. I took one bite of this and I was like, what has Ethan done? What miracle has happened in this Rice Krispie treat? And
Wait,
the
how does he
recipe,
make his Rice Krispie treats?
so this recipe is pistachio halva rice crispy treats. I have to tell you what's in
Wait,
it.
I'm not sure that I know what halva is.
Oh, great question.
Yeah.
So halva is made with sesame paste. It's a kind of confection that's really popular in the Middle East. It's really just sesame paste and sugar, but it comes in like these blocks, these kind of beige blocks. You might have seen that. Sometimes they're studded with crushed nuts on top. And it's like something you typically eat a little bite of with some tea or some coffee. Some people really like it, some people don't. I think even if you've never had a halva, this is an amazing place to try it. And halva is something you can find at any Eastern European market, Middle Eastern market, Persian market.
You buy this, you wouldn't have to make it yourself.
No, you absolutely don't make it yourself. You buy it pre-made. You can even often find it in Asian grocery stores. They'll have a little Middle Eastern section. It's not that hard to find. So it's so different from a normal Rice Krispie. It's the same in that you have butter and you have mini marshmallows, but you're also adding in sweetened condensed milk, tahini, pistachio butter, which I think if you couldn't find that, then you should just use more tahini, vanilla bean paste, and crumbled up halva that you crumble up and divide, and toasted pistachios and sesame seeds.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. And also my jaw is on the floor because sweetened condensed milk in Rice Krispie treats that also have halva and nuts. You also said toasted sesame?
Yeah, okay,
Oh
so this is
my
what you do.
gosh.
Like any Rice Krispie treat, you line your baking pan 8x8. You get a pot, you melt some butter into it until it foams and then starts to settle and turn dark. So you're getting brown butter here.
Oh,
This is the most extra
so
Rice Krispie treat.
Totally.
But when I tasted it for the first time, I was like, this is not a Rice Krispie treat. Okay, so you brown your butter. You add your marshmallows to the brown butter. Then you add in the condensed milk. You're just adding in a third of a cup for your whole batch.
It's just adding some creamy sweetness.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're adding in your tahini, your pistachio butter, or like I said, I would just add more tahini, vanilla, and salt. You stir that well. You remove it from the pan. You crumble in the halva, half the pistachios and half the sesame seeds. And then you add in the Rice Krispies. You mix it all really, really well. You put that into your pan. You top it with the remaining pistachio seeds and sesame seeds and a little extra halva on top. And then you just let it set up for a couple hours, which you can do at room temperature. And then you just lift it out and slice it. Rice Krispie treats are easy to make, and this is just adding a bunch of kind of fancy ingredients to it.
It sounds so rich, right? I'm sure you're not eating a giant slice of this.
I was eating small pieces of this, but I think it's sensational. I think it's incredible. I think it's
Also, I'm sure it travels well, but that's part of why people love them besides the flavor. And
it says it lasts up to 4 days. I think it lasts up to 2 weeks, to be honest.
wow, what a great idea. You know, I've browned my butter when I've made Rice Krispie treats before. I made a version in the fall, right when school was starting, that I put golden raisins.
You had raisins.
I had golden raisins in there, and I think I might have put some pretzels or something. There was sort of that salty sweet, but that's also what I think about when I think about adding tahini to a dessert, is that it adds a savory element to it, which is actually really nice. And when you're talking about Rice Krispie treats being a little bit too sweet for your palate, that makes sense to me.
Yes, that balances out.
Yeah, it's like a kid treat. Young people, when they're learning how to cook, it's an easy thing to do because you're really just melting butter, which you can do in the microwave. I certainly did when I was a teenager. Melted the butter in the microwave, add the marshmallows, mix it up, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, you don't even have to bake it. Well, Carrie, what was your best bite of the week?
Sonia, it might surprise you. It was a chicken taco made with flour tortillas. It was one of those kind of unexpected best bites of the week. So I recently shared on our Substack this braised chicken recipe. I started to develop this recipe because I think the beginning of the year and the routine, like getting back into things and also cooking in the winter sometimes can feel so tedious. And so I love a slow cooker recipe and I wanted something where I could just put chicken thighs in, a few ingredients, set it and forget it, and then have this great protein in my fridge. So I made this recipe several times in order to put it out on our Substack, which, by the way, is free for anyone who wants to subscribe. Link is in the show notes. So, really, what you do is you just turn your slow cooker on, you add a little butter, you add some tomato paste, you add some herbs. I like to add oregano, I add a little bit of wine, and then you put your boneless, skinless chicken thighs on top. You cover it and cook it for 3 hours. And if you remember in the middle of there, you can flip your chicken thighs over. And if not, it's going to be fine. And once they're done and really tender and falling apart, you shred them lightly with a fork. I had all this great chicken in my fridge and we had eaten it. I'd eaten on a grain bowl and I had piled them onto little rolls for a dinner one night. And so I had some of this left over. We needed kind of a quick lunch before we went to my son's basketball game. So I heated up flour tortillas, soft, fluffy flour tortillas. And once they were hot, I added a little bit of sour cream and then this beautiful shreddy, it was Italian flavors, but it's almost like barbecue chicken. And then I just put some greens on top. And the three of us sat at the kitchen table and we were like, wow, this is kind of the best lunch of the entire week.
I love this kind of like California take on a taco. Really, a good tortilla is a vehicle for whatever you
whatever
like.
you
And
have.
I want to circle back to the tortilla, but I want to go back to your recipe first because when I read it, I haven't tried it yet. But one, I really appreciated that you were sharing a slow cooker recipe because I think you're really right that you just need these little lifts and a slow cooker is a really easy lift. And I think if you didn't have a slow cooker, you could easily just cook this in a low oven
Yes.
and have the same effect like a 300, 325 degree oven for a couple hours. But when I was reading the recipe, I was like, wow, there's so few ingredients and they're all pantry ingredients. And it's really, I feel like what you do best. It's a little white wine. White wine, I think, is important too. It wasn't red wine. And you had that tomato paste and granulated garlic, oregano, which I was like, whoa, basil, a little chili flake. And that's really all that you're flavoring it with. And I love the simplicity of that. I love the way that you use oregano. It adds a lot with very little.
And it doesn't salt your palate either. This is a taco, but it's like kind of an Italian version of a taco. And I really did want this to be something I could just easily pull out from my pantry, not even have to pull out my cutting board. But, we had one of our listeners write in to our Substack and suggest that she always uses garlic cloves and that they melt down, which in one of my versions, I definitely did that too. I just smashed a few garlic cloves. I didn't even chop them up. I threw them in there. That melty garlic is also really nice. If you want to add that step, great. And I think the other step that for us was really important too is I added a little bit of balsamic vinegar at the end. And that really lifts the flavor up, in addition to adding a little bit of greens. I liked the arugula. My son chose no arugula on his.
It also reminds me of a much easier version of my chicken tinga, which is like
Yes.
when you have braised chicken on hand, you can use it in so many different ways. I loved all the ways you mentioned that you use it. Put it in a slider, put it in a tortilla, put it in a scoop on top of a bowl with some rice and some beans and some greens. And the thing about a braised meat is that it doesn't dry out and you can keep reheating it, which makes it different than grilled chicken or roast chicken, which really changes when you have leftovers.
Yeah, and it was a weekend. We didn't really plan a lunch. We didn't really plan food. And it would have been really easy to just go down to the taco stand at the end of our street. And I will say, just a shout out, the tortillas that I used, I think.
Well, that's what
make a
I
difference.
want to go back. I want to know not just what tortillas you use, I want to know how you heated them up.
If I find them. The tortillas flour tortillas I like to keep in my fridge are actually a brand that has raw flour tortillas. I'll look up the name and I'll link to them. They're basically uncooked.
Yes, I've seen these. I feel like they also have them at Costco.
They might have, I don't know, but what you're doing is you're getting your pan really hot, or not really hot because they also need a little bit of time to cook. I have a griddle that's made out of cast iron, so I heat up both sides of that. I get it hot to like a medium-ish, medium low. I usually have to turn it down a little bit because you don't want them to cook too fast because they will burn. Put it on one side, it sort of puffs up, and then you flip it to the other side. So then you're not like reheating a tortilla that's already been cooked. You're having this fresh cooked tortilla. I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about. I love that. I also have been obsessed lately with just heating up my tortillas straight over the gas flame on my stove and
Yeah.
getting them kind of
Are,
charred. That's been my favorite way lately.
are you
But
doing
that's
that
why
with flour or corn?
I do it with both. Yeah.
I
And they get kind of
Yeah.
puffy.
Yeah, I find that like I'm kind of doing that and also swearing at the same time because I'm like hurting my fingers a little bit.
Oh, you use tongs. I always use
I feel like
tongs.
the tongs kind of can tear at them and then they
You have to be
hard. And
careful.
so I'm always kind of doing it gingerly with my fingers and trying to not burn myself. And definitely getting a couple burns. This has been a really fun combination of something that's going viral, a really great dessert that I really want to try those Rice Krispie treats. Like they
Yeah,
sound so next level. And then just something that is a quick dinner, a great little pop of protein. Having something like that in your fridge is a gift to your future self.
for sure. Well, until next
Until
time.
next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for being our food friend.
If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with friends. We love hearing from you, so follow us on Instagram or drop us a line at foodfriendspodcast.com.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you and your food friends. Happy cooking and eating.